In this lesson, we'll talk about parsing the response coming back from our web service call. Calls to the Search API return the responses in JSON format. JSON is an acronym that stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Despite the name, JSON is used well beyond the scope of just JavaScript. It's a widely used data interchange format that is quite popular as it's easy to read and easy to parse. Let's look at a formatted example of the response coming back from our search call. JSON formats its data into a set of key value pairs. The key is always a quoted string, followed by a colon, and then a value. One of the important parts of parsing this data is to understand how the different value types are interpreted by the parser. Our simple valued types, such as the artist ID or the primary genre name, can be either a string, number, boolean, or null, and these are interpreted as the appropriate NS type in Objective-C, so NS string, NS number, etc. Values can also be interpreted as either an NS array or an NS dictionary. So our results key starts with a square bracket and ends with a square bracket, and this is interpreted as an NS array type. An opening and a closing brace are interpreted as a dictionary. So if we look at our whole response, we can see the whole thing is interpreted as a dictionary since it's wrapped in braces. That dictionary would have a key called result count with an NS number of 2. It would have a key of results containing an NS array of dictionaries. And then each one of those dictionaries would have their individual key value pairs. So you should have a better understanding of this data structure. But how do we actually parse this data? Prior to iOS 5, we had to rely on third-party libraries to parse JSON into Objective-C objects. A number of good open-source projects exist, like SBJSON or JSONKit are two of the more popular ones. But starting in iOS 5, Apple introduced a class called NSJSONSerialization that will meet most of our JSON parsing needs. I'm going to delete the current implementation that we have. So I'll begin by parsing this JSON. I'm creating an NS error to hold any errors that might occur while parsing the JSON. I'm then going to call NSJSONSerialization and call its JSON object with data method. I'll pass in the response data. I can pass one or more options to this parser. By default, all of the types coming back are immutable types, so immutable NS arrays, NS dictionaries. But if we wanted to make those mutable, we could pass an option to say make those mutable. And then in the error argument, we're just passing in the address of that error pointer. We should first check to make sure that a valid NS dictionary was returned, and if it wasn't, simply invoke the completion block, passing in that error. Assuming the parsing happened correctly, we'll create an NS mutable array to store our artists. We'll then iterate through the results in our artist dictionary. Let me switch back one more time to the JSON. So I want to get the results key, and this should contain an array of 2 dictionaries. So I'm iterating through the results. Then in each pass, I want to ask for the artist ID, and I'll parse out its integer value, and then the artist name. Then finally, I'll create a new artist, passing in that artist ID and name, and add it to our artist list. And finally, I want to call the completion block, passing back our collection of artists. So I'll run the app, enter in Trivium, tap search, and we can see our artist coming back. So very cool, we've got our working search screen. You should now have a good understanding of the JSON file format and how to parse it into Objective-C objects using NSJSONSerialization class.